Welcome back to Skewed Reviews. And today I'm reviewing a short film, and it was actually a viewer request by the director and writer of it. And the one I'm referring to is the 2024 short La Cabra, directed and written by Taruga. So, this short film, which is around 15 minutes in length, may not be keeping much hidden. It very much reveals pretty much from the beginning exactly what the story is about, but it is still fascinating to watch it. It's also not the most exciting story, but if you do like good atmosphere, I think you'll enjoy it. So the film seems to take place in the 70s, where we have this young girl who's just hanging out in the woods. And at first, everything seems perfectly normal. She's going through a maze in like a coloring book that she has. She's just kind of hanging out, enjoying the nice sunny weather. But when she decides that it's finally time to start heading back home, she begins to see some odd and strange things, as apparently the devil has now decided to join her in her wilderness walk and may be trying to dissuade her from going home and perhaps joining him. I do, in fact, enjoy the 70s aesthetic that you get out of this one. I find a lot of it very believable. The girl, the clothes she's wearing, her backpack, the way that the devil looks in this, all very much does kind of have that 70s feel. Now, I will be honest though, I don't know if it's just my ADD brain or the fact that I get kind of nitpicky with things, but there were two things that stood out to me that just felt out of place for this 70s short film. Now, I do want to preface this with saying I grew up in the 80s and not the 70s, but I still feel like there were two things that did really stand out as not fitting the aesthetic. Number one is this little stuffed animal goat that she ends up finding. There's a lot of goat stuff because obviously that's all linked in with the devil in this. But I honestly felt that this stuffy looked almost too good. Because, I mean, let me just show you what we had at least in the 80s. So these were at least some of the stuffed animals that I remember seeing in the 80s. Now, mind you, none of these look terrible, but let's go back to that goat. This thing looks really well done and handmade. I think it's made out of yarn, actually. Then we also have these goat finger puppets. These look really nice, and these are pretty much exactly what they had in the short. Here's what I remember finger puppets looking like in the 80s, and more than likely in the 70s as well. Cool looking, nowhere near as nice on the quality. So I apologize for going off on that very random tangent. So sorry about that. And especially to you, Taruga, I am very sorry about derailing my review on your short. So, anyway, what I was originally trying to say is I do actually like the 70s aesthetic for this short. I also feel that this would have made an interesting full length feature. Now, mind you, the short itself is not super interesting, but it did keep my attention. But I do feel like a full length feature where a girl is trying to make her way home through the woods, and throughout her journey, the devil is trying to persuade her to not do so. That could be pretty cool. Almost a little bit of like a Red Riding Hood feel to it, but I think it could be fun and really dark. Now, mind you, if you don't make this into a full length feature, I do still think it's a short film that's worth at least checking out. It is currently available to stream for free on YouTube. And at least for me, on my scale, I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if you think there's any other short films out there that I should watch and do a review for, feel free to mention them in the comments. And especially if you yourself have worked on one, I would love to be able to get it out there more so people can appreciate it.